So let me get the, yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Derek. My name is JL Diaz. I'm the Director for Customer Success from Phoenix Business Consulting. And I'm also the Practice Director for SAP Concur. I've been doing SAP Consulting for over 20 years now. Started off as an FICO or Finance and Controlling Consultant, public sector practitioner. I've seen so many changes and challenges in this industry, most especially with the pandemic. I've seen how my clients in the public sector and of course also in the commercial world go through very rough patches and how they deliver their services to their constituents, basically operating their businesses. We saw layoffs, project cancellations, and generally go through that uncertainty of not knowing what's going to happen. And of course, nowadays, with COVID-19 pretty much under control, hopefully, right? We see a lot of clients picking up projects. However, there's an interesting trend that I would like to share with you. Some of our clients are picking up a lot of projects that are cloud-based. So here is some breakdown of engagement that we're seeing out there as far as our clientele is concerned. About 40% of our clients are implementing some SaaS solution. And, that could be S/4HANA, Business by Design, Success Factors, Ariba, and of course, Concur. About 20% are migrating from on-premise to a cloud hosting solution such as AWS, which we also implement. And about 20%, they are in some sort of procurement process with an RFP out or just evaluating, the solution based on their RFPs. And about 15% are in the RFI stage, I would say exploration stage, when they're trying to, investigate and learn about this SaaS solution. But overall, a lot of our clients are moving into the cloud. Now, why these clients are moving to the cloud is what we're going to unpack for today and what it means to becoming a resilient organization in this time and age. But first, let's welcome some of my panel members for today. I'm excited to introduce my co-panelist, Fida Hussein. Good morning,
Good
Fida.
morning. Good morning, Jill. Good morning, everyone attending today. It's a pleasure to be on the panelist on this fire chat session today.
Hey, Fida, I'm sure you're not a stranger to public sector implementation and delivery. Why don't you tell our audience, something about your experience in the public sector and your background?
Sure, absolutely. Jill, as you know, I spend quite a bit of time implementing enterprise solutions, mostly in SAP projects across the globe. I developed my skills with HR. That was my starting point. Moved to travel and expense management, integration with finance, third-party providers, bank, credit card, etc. So I spent quite a bit of time implementing travel and expense management solutions. In the last several years, I spent in SAP Concur applications ranging from travel requests, travel expense, invoicing, reporting, and etc. Among all the projects that I worked, my signature projects are actually the aerospace, defense, and public sector. Jill?
Oh, thanks, Fida. I would also like to welcome Mr. Kyle Liblang, our friend from SAP Concur, who will provide some insights and demo for us for today. Hi, Kyle.
Hey, JL. Hey, Fida. And hey, everyone. So my name is Kyle Lieblein. I'm a senior solutions consultant at SAP Concur for a few years now. My role is to really ensure our current and prospective customers that they understand SAP Concur, they understand the solutions that we offer, and of course, the value that we provide with those. I'm based out of LA in California, and I work solely within our public sector practice here. So with that, I work with a team of individuals all the way from sales to support. It's really dedicated day in and day out to the public sector. Before coming to SAP, though, I worked at Deloitte and Oracle in various roles. So really just looking forward to bringing all of my prior and current experiences to our discussion today and with organizations like yourselves, and just happy to be here today.
All right. Good to be with both of you today. All right, Fida, let's start this off. What are you seeing out there? In the last 18 to 20 months, how are your clients thriving?
Pandemic time, right? Thanks, Jill. I will start with a simple statistics that was published not too long ago. 82% of the business of 5 to 1,000 employees agreed the organization identified new gaps in cash flow management tool and and the processes as a result of COVID-19. Thanks to COVID-19 pandemic, uncertainty is kind of like new status quo now. Even we have short-term relief from the vaccine and other medications out, but the long-term effects have expanded the need for businesses of all size to digitalize and automate their financial operations. So during this pandemic, I observed most of our clients are taking extra effort to control the cost, tighten their budgets, and focusing on spend visibility. So from our research that there are four factors that I found. One was the improved cash flow management. So as you know, the SAP Concur comes with flexible cash management technology. So to meet the demand of the new world of work, organization must depend on more control over company spend and the cash flow. So in a sense, when the people are traveling, for instance, it produces tremendous amount of data, which those data are basically fragmented. And it is very difficult to pick up those data, but because of the Concur solutions and the tools available today, that can actually make sense to normal human consumptions when it produces the results of the cash flow, financial data, etc. The second one on automate, integrate, and spend management. Concur Solutions offers built-in spend management tool and workflow tracking, monitoring, and preventing. So with the AI technology is matured, they utilize their full suites of AI technology. So we can now automate a huge quantity of data and reduce human errors, which used to be the case when I started in the old days. And JL, Kyle, you guys know about it also. That leads to because of the data is available and the advanced analytics, so that leads to predictive analytics, allowing the companies to take protection against the frauds and making good business decisions. So the third one is automate audit management. Audit managements are the best of Concur solutions. Implementing travel in the past, we had such a difficulties to create and write those audit rules, but since I started working with Concur solutions, that pain is literally non-existing. It has the flexible audit rules development tools to adopt most of the audit conditions controlled by the budgets, audit trigger, policy violation, provisioning, etc. All can be done without writing a single code. That is my very favorite area. The last one is powering hybrid remote work environment. Because of the pandemic, everybody is working remotely thanks to the Concur SaaS solutions. Basically, you can start a travel request to approval and expense, and up to the approval and the payment process, all can be done without being in the office. So these are the four things that I see in recent 18 to last 2 years, Jill.
Good thing you mentioned about cash flow, controlling cost or spend visibility. This is a lot. I also see a lot of our clients, working towards this, which is pretty much like a driving force nowadays for most organizations. In fact, I'm currently doing a project right now, specifically working on how to manage reporting requirements for the American Rescue Plan Act, or what they call ARPA.
What kind of solution you're working, Jill?
It's also an SAP Grants Management.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, it's a robust solution that it could be a topic for another fireside chat.
Okay.
Anyway, you mentioned that you have clients like CalSTRS that has been implementing Concur. Can you unpack this for us? Sounds
Oh,
like this
yeah,
is a good case study that we can share with our audience.
absolutely. Uh, I recently completed the CalSTRS project. It's an agency within the state of California. So during right before the pandemic closure, we started working on site on the project. But a couple of weeks later, we were all asked to go home, and 95% of the entire project was done remotely. And the advantage we took, the SAP Concur SaaS solutions, because everything is on the cloud. We didn't have to do anything on site and other technologies. So that was great. I was the team member from CalSTRS side, and the project was done in concert with Concur Technical Solutions. They were our partners to work together. That was a great experience for us. We implemented full suites of Concur solutions. That includes entire travel suites, request, expense, and reporting. Invoice was not part of the solutions because they use the different solutions for invoice. So the project called implementation expense for, we rolled out almost like 1,500 employees, the entire population of CalSTRS with the solution. We activated all audit rules and workflow submission to approval process. You can think of anything were included. Full integration with California State Department of General Services travel store. So that was a serious level of integration. And also the full integration with State of California accounting system, and which is almost like 20 years old solution. So, but end of the day, it was fully automated, fully integrated also with the success factors and employee and organizations.
I know CalSTRS, Fida. I know that they have a lot of SAP systems, and then I think they're currently migrating to the latest S/4HANA solution. I completed a project last summer for CalSTRS related to application control, and I believe they're the largest education-related pension program in the world, probably the second largest pension program in the United States. So that's pretty exciting.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The CalSTRS manages today almost 221 billion assets and investment portfolio for California Teachers Union Pension Fund.
So
and you're right. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So, the SAP Concur project, can you tell us how SAP Concur help manage expenses and give visibility to their spending?
Jill, when you implement any IT solution, you have to think of how it can really help to organize and the process, and how you can handle the activity when things are operationals. That includes the consistent challenging and etc. So one of the features that really helped our client who implemented SAP Concur solutions are truly benefited from its robust workflow, the audit rules, artificial intelligence, and it's a adaptive, dynamic, and compelling technology.
What do you mean?
So I think what we can do for our audience, we can create a demo, show them rather than me talking about it. So, Kyle, my friend, can you give us a demo on workflow solutions?
Sure, Fida. Yeah, happy to. So if you can see my screen here, really, SAP Concur, we have one of, if not the most robust workflow engines in the industry today. It's really a best-in-class, dynamic and automated, easily configurable workflow wizard that allows the workflow to really pivot in the direction that you need it to, right? Based on a number of qualifications. And those could be things like risk and dollar thresholds, cost objects. Maybe you just want a standard one-up approval. You can also incorporate skip steps into the process. And then we have things like automatic alerts and email reminders, right? To always keep things pushing through the workflow, always keep everyone reminding of what needs to be done. Just to keep that reimbursement cycle time to a minimum, and always ensure that employee satisfaction and there's less strain on the back office. So if you could see my screen here, this is kind of like the back engine of the workflow wizard that we use when we're setting up different workflows. And of course, at SAP Concur and Phoenix, we provide these templated workflows, but of course they can be customized and configured to your organization's needs. So if I were to maybe jump into one of these workflows, right, this is just kind of standard configuration stuff. But if you move on through the screen, you can see how easy it is to really implement unique workflows that are relevant to your organization with your levels of approval and what's important to you. And of course, they're not static. Like I mentioned, they can be dynamic. They can pivot based on certain conditions, right? And so as you see here, maybe we have skip steps involved in the process. So perhaps let's say an expense report is over $1,000, right? Maybe that needs another level of approval from the controller. So it'll trigger, if that expense report's over $1,000, let's push it on to another level of approval. If not, we'll keep it through the consistent, setup workflow. So just showing you kind of the power of that workflow engine, and really the options are really limitless here. But if I were to jump into what that might look like from a user perspective, so I'm a user and I'm filling out an expense report. I have all of my transactions here. If I were to go into my report details and my report timeline, as an example, I can have visibility as a user to see where my expense report is going and where it needs to go ultimately before I get reimbursed for these transactions. So I have a manager, a cost object approval, and then finally I might have a back office level approval as that last step before I get reimbursed. Now what that looks like from the approver side is ultimately they'll automatically get a notification. They'll get a notification within Concur. They'll get a notification within their email if they'd like to. And they can also get a notification on their mobile device that lets them know that they have an expense report that's pending their approval. But if we're in Concur, we jump in, quickly toggle over to here, and we could see the transactions that make up our delegate's expense report, where it needs to go. And ultimately, we have the opportunity to send this back to the employee. Maybe there's some adjustments that need to be made, right? We want to kick this back to the employee with some comments. We can send it back, or we can simply approve it. And as I showed you before, based on that workflow that's set up and pre-configured in the background, it'll push it through to that next step in the workflow. So it's just a really nice way to keep things flowing, keep things consistent, and really keep that reimbursement time to a minimum, which is what we want to all aim for. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, thanks, Kyle. Absolutely. That was very helpful, and visually is much better than trying me to explain the workflow. Yeah. So that was good. So with the big organizations like CalSTRS, their approval process is not only complex, it's multifaceted. So we were able to adopt the SAP Concur workflow related activity, believe it or not, without writing a single line of code. So that was wonderful achievement by the development team from SAP Concur. And also I call it no code situation. Jill?
Yeah, so you know what? As far as the resiliency is concerned, having systems like this that is flexible, making sure that you know where things are from the start of the process until you stop is crucial in making sure that you can stand any downturn in the business. Yeah.
Jill, I can give you another hint of the part of the implementation that I really enjoyed. The implementing the policy control of the governance. That was something really, really helpful. So what we did, we created a audit rules and policy control and a compliance that was writing a single code also. And I can show to our audience actually what the policy controls and audit rules are function. And it has the built-in capability of artificial intelligence. It can pick up a lot of different areas. Kyle, would you be able to show us some audit rules and compliance, how these are configured in the backend, please?
Yeah, absolutely, Fida. So really looking at our audit rule engine here, you can see that the number of possibilities of audit rules are really limitless, right, as you scroll through. But while we really provide best practice audit rules right off the bat, but going forward, your organizations, of course, you have the ability to easily build and add audit rules that are important to everyone. So for instance, maybe minibar or movie is flagged on a hotel itemization. We want to mark that as inappropriate and bring that to the approver's attention so that user doesn't necessarily get reimbursed for something out of our expense policy. Another example, let's say that an expense is over 30 or 60 days old. Let's ask that user why they're submitting an expense that's outside of the reimbursement window of 30 or 60 days, right, in accordance with your expense policy. So that governance right up front. Jumping into another one though, such as maybe per diem plus meal on an expense report. This is picking up really if a user is receiving a per diem while also trying to claim a meal allowance on the same day. So as we scroll through here, you can see that the audit rules are really based on and or conditions, right? And they're easily configurable based on the fields and the data that we have in Concur. It's really user intuitive. Once you get used to kind of this little configuration wizard here, it's, the world is really your oyster when it comes to creating these audit rules. And the last thing I'll highlight on this is the ability to create, soft and hard stops in the system, right? So a soft stop might be denoted as something that we don't want the user, we want to notify them that they're violating an exception, but we still want to let that expense report, for instance, move through the approval workflow versus a hard stop, right? Kind of a no-go from that situation where, something is really in violation and we're not going to let the user even submit their expense report if there's an automated audit alert that's flagged against it. So you have options when it comes to building these audit rules and then configuring the level of kind of governance and compliance that you want to create when you're creating your entire kind of expense policy framework here. And again, kind of like I showed you before, what that looks like from the user standpoint is if I'm back in this expense report, I can see that I have this soft stop, this yellow alert, and this hard stop. So in this case, right, as an example, please use your corporate card when purchasing office supplies. So within our expense policy, we ensure that our users go out and they use their corporate card when they're purchasing office supplies, but in this case, cash was used. So we want to let the user know that we'll let it go based on this yellow stop, but we just want to let the user know going forward to use their corporate card. And then down here, right, so the user is receiving daily allowances on their travels or per diems or travel allowances, but they're also trying to claim a dinner on the same day. So the system is a hard stop situation where it's saying that you received a fixed per diem or travel allowance, you must mark this dinner transaction as personal, right? So what we're doing is we're providing this governance up front just to save, that time on the back end with your approvers, with your auditors, your back office. So they don't really have to go in and audit each and every transaction. Ideally, these are being brought up to their attention. So back to you, Peter and Jael.
All right. Thank you, Kyle. Can you imagine this? I mean, if you are a practitioner in travel and expense management or finance and doing this kind of activity in SAP or any other solutions in the old days, it would take months to write all these rules and testings and everything, but everything is built in. So SAP Concur helps to supervise the policies and whenever it comes to working with this technology. Entire Suites is built on very smart coding, AI-driven technologies, and the audit rules and automations are built into it. So that's why it is something that flying off the shelf because of this technology.
What about the reports? It should not only provide information, but it should also provide actionable items, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You're right, Jill. The reportings are also very, very powerful. So within the system, there are two levels of reporting built in. Capabilities of reporting ad hoc type of report, which is pretty standard coming with the package. If someone is a large organization or the public sector, their statutory requirements are a higher level where the package reporting it will not work in those instances, they have professional report writers built into it. That is
Mm-hmm.
it. That can actually create a tremendous, any report that you would like to run or create, it's possible. Think about advanced BI type of reports that can be done. And we can actually show you some reports. Kyle, would you be able to show us some samples?
Yeah, I'd love to. It's kind of to build on what you're saying, Theta. So within SAP Concur, we provide you with really an incredibly robust reporting engine. And that's, like Fida said, comprised of standard and custom reports, as well as certain dashboards. And these dashboards can be, they can be bursted out to relevant individuals within your organizations based on their role and really the data that is important to them. So for example, if maybe Betty wants a version of this expense management overview dashboard on her desk, right, 8 a.m. every Monday morning, every week, well, SAP Concur can schedule this customized dashboard that meets Betty's needs to send out every Monday at that time. So going forward, she has the data that she needs for the week in order to be proactive and make proper decisions on behalf of her organization. So as you can see, this is just one example of a dashboard that we can provide, and think of these as individual reports within each of these dashboards, right? So just under reports pending approval alone, I have about 5 different reports that are comprised of this, and that goes for kind of the whole structure here. Now, at the same time, this is configured based on what's important to me in my role. So maybe these are the reports that I care about as far as this dashboard is concerned. Maybe something is different for you. So you want different reports, different metrics that are combined in this expense management overview. But just as an example, right, if I drill into each of these, they're all drillable reports. And here you could take action on the fact that you could see the top 10 longest to approve, right? So we have our top approver, Julian, up here, who typically takes 43 days to approve a given expense report, right? I think that would warrant some kind of, coaching just in terms of being able to kind of expedite this process and make sure that it goes smoother in the future. Now, if we scroll down here, you could see different things as well. Maybe you want to see your top 10 spending employees, or so who in our organization is spending the most amount of money. And maybe they're all valid reasons, but you just want to have those metrics and that data to support your business decisions that you make. So again, this is just one example of this expense management overview. But at the end of the day, it's just really scratching the surface on what's available to you once you now really have all the data in your hands.
How many standard reports are out there, Kyle?
Yeah, good question. So there's about 200 reports that SAP Concur provides you with, and these have been pre-built. They've been pre-tested, so they're really ready to go right once you're completed with implementation.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good.
Wow. Yeah. Truly, the reporting structures and the reporting capability of SAP Concur is really good assets for any users that using this technology. It saves time, it produces real-time reports, and it's happening, the information as it's happening at the same time. Jill?
Thanks for the demo, Kyle. I think, we learned a lot today. Let me summarize this for our audience. Resiliency is having the ability to bounce back and stay balanced even after a shock or trauma. The question is actually how fast can you come back once you experience setbacks, right? So to ensure that you can power through any downturns, you should surround yourself with systems that are powerful, stable, and proven, just like SAP Concur. And systems should not only provide you with reports and with actionable insights, it should also be flexible enough to address changes within the organization and the environment in which it operates. And if you can improve the employee experience on top of this and ensure control and audit compliance along the way, you will have the ability to thrive and control not only the costs, but also a tool to optimize your operations. All right, we are 30 minutes into this. Let's see if we have some questions from the audience.
JL, we have one.
Okay, go ahead.
How long is a typical SAP Concur implementation?
Fida, would you like to take that?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. It really depends on size of the organization. I have seen a very short cycle implementation for a smaller organization which they don't have the complex scenarios or statutory requirements. It can go several weeks and it can be implemented. But also I've seen large organizations like CalSTRS that it took us over a year. Uh, Due to COVID, it took us a little bit extra time because initially we lost some momentum. But because of the complexity of their requirements and some of the activity needed additional configurations to make it work. And also we spend most of the time on integrating with the third-party solutions outside the Concur solutions, because end of the day, data exchange is essential that needs to go from place A to place B or vice versa because of the mass IT structures, infrastructures within the state of California. Those kind of scenarios, it may take a little bit longer. But in general, several months for a standard mid-sized organization, they should be able to achieve.
Mm-hmm. And we also have mini modules that we can build on top of the core expense module. I would like to add that it can also impact timeline. For example, if you want the solution called SAP Concur Request, it's an add-on, and public sector organizations can take advantage of this, especially if you would like to have pre-approval for the trip. And if you want the budget to be checked and encumbered prior to the trip, you can use SAP Concur Request. And as an information for everyone, Phoenix Business Consulting has a proprietary budget check solution between SAP Concur and S4HANA. All right. Any other question, Derek?
Yes. Can you talk about SAP Concur Invoice?
Oh, yeah, sure. SAP Concur Invoice is another module separate from SAP Concur Expense. SAP Concur Invoice has deep functionality to capture invoice line items from vendor invoices, right? So processing the invoice within SAP Concur itself. And by this, I mean managing the approval for payments through workflow. Okay, so managing the account assignment posting, for example, GL accounts to be used or vendor numbers that will be used. These are all validated within Concur before getting posted to the ERP in the back end. So essentially, it makes sure that the invoice being posted for payment has been vetted and passed all the policies set by the organization. And we can have a separate discussion and demo for this in the future. If you have any question, we'll take the name of that person, Derek, and then make sure that we'll cover that in the next fireside chat.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. Any other question? Okay. Nope.
And sincerely appreciate your time today. If you want to reach us or have any personal questions or solutions that you'd like to see, please visit us at www.phoenixteam.com, or you can send us an email to admin@phoenixteam, or give us a call on the website. So you can reach us at 779-9132 or 888-690-0808. So